all things legal. Google CEO Sundar Pichai expected to testify before the House Judiciary Committee, with the state funeral for President George H.W. Bush likely delaying his appearance this week. Maria Bartiromo talked to House Judiciary Committee Chair Bob Goodlatte yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures. Here's what Congressman Goodlatte had to say about that testimony.
You've got Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google, testifying in front of your committee. Telling me about this and what you want to get from him. There's speculation that these technology companies, who are now more powerful than they've ever been before, are censoring conservative conversation. Is that your main issue?
That is one of a number of issues. There are also antitrust issues. There are also issues related to how Google and the other social media companies raise their revenues based upon what they put in front of the viewer. There are also privacy issues. I expect that because of President Bush's state funeral on Wednesday, that we'll have to put that off until next week. But we're expecting that to occur, and it's very, very important that it do occur.
Joining us now, Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. When Sundar Pichai does show up in D.C., what can we expect, you think?
Well, you just heard the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, who, by the way, is one of the busiest people in Washington because he won't be the chair come January 3rd, and he's trying to get a lot done that the Republicans did not do in the past 2 years while he was chair, about which more in a moment. But with respect to Google, I mean, there's very little that they can do about censorship of political opinion because the First Amendment does not regulate Google. But in order to point this out and perhaps get Google to be a little bit more open about opinions with which its dominant culture disagrees, they'll look at things that they can do something about, like antitrust and privacy. Privacy, in my view, is very important because the EU, whose privacy laws are stricter than in the United States, that is more protective of the privacy of the individual, has been aggressive in going after Google. And I think that Bob Goodlatte would like to go down. That's the chair of the House Judiciary Committee that Maria just interviewed. I think Bob Goodlatte would like to go down that path.
It'll be interesting, though, what happens when the Democrats take over the House, because these technology companies, the employees, they obviously lean left.
Right.
And the technology companies certainly behave more favorably toward Democrats than they do conservatives.
There's no question about that. Yeah, you're being correct, Dagan. I don't think that Bob Goodlatte's replacement is Jerry Nadler, who is his opposite in many, many respects. I doubt that he cares at all about the suppression of conservative opinion. But he certainly cares about antitrust, and he certainly cares about privacy. Now, whether addressing antitrust and privacy is a subterfuge for you got to stop suppressing conservative opinion, or whether it's a real serious antitrust issue, I don't know. It is a privacy issue, that I can tell you.
Well, we know there's a story that Doug Weed, the presidential historian, told, where YouTube, which is owned by Google, Doug Weed tried to buy an ad to promote an interview that he did on Fox Business. And it was individuals at YouTube who got involved and said they wouldn't run the ad, and eventually suspended Doug Weed's account because the crawl at the bottom of the screen was a quote from President Trump on Twitter calling the Mueller investigation a, quote, witch hunt. The people within YouTube deemed that hate speech. That's what they were. So there's a lot that goes on that I hope some of this comes out when Sundar Pichai testifies.
So there's two arguments here. One is they're the only game in town. That's not literally true, but they are so big and so thorough and so efficient. Everybody uses them, and therefore they should be more receptive to views with which they disagree. The other view is they are not the government. They are a private bulletin board. They can suppress whatever opinions they want, and if you don't like the opinions they suppress, you can get some money together. I realize it's a huge barrier to entry. It's a lot of money, and start another search engine. So those are the two arguments. I don't know that they're going to be made in the House Judiciary Committee, but one is in favor of interfering with their business model, and one says the government can't interfere.